facts. My name is Prachi. In England in the 1800s, young boys were often dressed in pink because pink was considered to be a milder form of red, and grown men wore red uniforms. And this is a chatty get ready with me featuring a whole lot of pink. The original intention of this video was to just faithfully recreate the glittery pink eyeshadow look that I had in my fun facts video, because I'd received a couple of comments where people had requested to see how I achieved that look. I was going to recreate that exact look and give a little bit of a life update and then discuss what the upcoming schedule for this channel was going to be, as well as the fact that I was going to be pre-filming a couple of videos. And kind of in the middle of me getting ready, some wild form of inspiration struck, and I decided to instead do this very editorial draped pink blush look. You know, I'm calling this blush draping or draped blush, but I'm not even 100% sure that that's the accurate term for it. I'm pretty sure this does not qualify as igari style blush or Japanese hangover blush, because that's usually concentrated just like right under the eyes over here. But if anybody knows what this is called beyond just blush draping, please do let me know. For those of you who are just interested in seeing how I created the eye look, just ignore whatever I did with the blush, because the eye look I think is a pretty faithful recreation of whatever was going on in that fun facts video. The blush is a whole other story though. This look took a fair amount of time and work to construct, which means the conversation meandered and went a whole bunch of different ways. So I'm going to shut up now and proceed to the get ready with me portion of this video. Let's get it. Alright, so I just got out of the shower and dried my hair, and so I'm gonna do my skincare prep as always. So it's actually relatively early in the morning. However, as you can tell, like all of the lights are on in my house because it looks like the apocalypse outside. Like it's been really like rainy and dreary, and so the lighting situation, it might as well be nighttime. So as you may have noticed, I got a haircut. I hate it. Mostly because I went into the haircut place and I was like, hey, can you just cut the undercut part? Like, can you trim it? Can you use like a 2mm razor and just trim the undercut? You know, can you leave the top part alone? And I said that because I actually like having the top a little bit longer. I don't know about y'all, but I'm one of those people who like, I kind of zone out whenever I go to get my hair cut. I just like sit down and I relax and I close my eyes and I kind of just let them do whatever and just experience what's happening. And so I closed my eyes, trusted the barber, opened them, and this had happened. I don't really see the point in being confrontational with like barbers. It's not like he can like uncut my hair. So I just kind of thanked him for it and peaced out. Came home and then like filmed 2 videos because I just like didn't have time to be sad about my hair, because even though exams are over, I still have a bunch of work to do because I'm involved in a whole bunch of different projects and stuff throughout the summer. So the next couple of videos you're actually going to see, you'll see me sort of repeating the same couple of outfits, because the day that I got my hair cut, I shot 2 videos back to back. One of them was the video that you've already seen, which is the new makeup that I've acquired. The other video is my April empties. And then in this particular outfit and makeup look, you're seeing not only this get ready with me update video, but also probably my April hits and misses. Now, the reason why I'm filming all of these videos in advance is because from April 29th to May 5th, I'm actually going to the US, to Minnesota, to stay with my aunt and uncle. I haven't seen them in a really long time, and my aunt invited me over to just sort of have some downtime and relax. This is the same aunt, by the way, who I talked about in my March check-in. Like, she's truly an incredible woman. Now, I think I'm gonna do my eyeshadow first. I don't know if this should be a tutorial or a get ready with me because a couple of people asked me how I did this. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll move the camera just a little bit closer so you can see my eyes a little better. Alrighty, this is a lot more up close and personal. Y'all can probably see like every single pore on my face, unless my camera's out of focus, which definitely happens quite frequently. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking this sort of pinkish red matte eyeshadow and I'm putting it in my crease. Do I remember exactly what I did last time? Absolutely not. So we're just gonna improvise and hope it turns out looking sort of the same. That's basically the Prachi makeup story. Anyway, I don't know if the camera is showing it, but my skin is probably looking pretty rough. And that's because during exams, I really neglected to do my skincare routine. I rely on things like AHAs and BHAs, retinols, niacinamide, vitamin C, etc. to keep my skin at its like optimum health, because my skin needs a fair amount of care and exfoliation in order to not be a hot mess. And since I neglected to sort of keep up my chemical exfoliation and all of that kind of stuff during exams, my skin is just so textured. So as you can see, although this looks like a super pigmented red in the pan, what it actually is it's a mini size blush, and so it's a little more sheer and it comes off a lot more pink on my actual eyes. I'm a very big fan of using blushes on my eyes, especially for sort of pinker looks. However, you do want to check to make sure that it's eye safe. Okay, is that even? I don't know. We're just gonna go with it. The next eyeshadow I'm gonna use is this Hot Pink by MAC. It's just like a matte hot pink. Now, this is not the best eyeshadow in the world. I am confident that there are matte hot pinks out there with much better pigmentation than this one. However, this is all I got, so you're gonna see me struggle with it, but we're gonna figure out a way to make it work. So what was I talking about before we got sidetracked by my skincare and me moving the camera closer and then me talking about makeup? Oh, right. I'm pre-filming a whole bunch of videos, and I'm doing it because I'm going to Minnesota for a week, and because I happen to be going to Minnesota during a time that is a really hectic time in terms of the channel, as in I have to do all of my end of the month wrap-up things. There are 5 videos total that I need to film before I leave, and I'm just gonna sort of space out the editing for them. I'm gonna do some at the airport, some on the plane, while I'm at my aunt and uncle's house during downtime, etc. The thing about working with these two matte eyeshadows and the fact that they're not really pigmented is it's really taught me about patience and the importance of technique. Because one of the reasons why I really admire professional makeup artists, people like, you know, Lisa Eldridge, etc., is you could give her the absolute worst products in the world, and because she's so skilled, she'll end up making just the like least pigmented dumpster fire of a product look really, really good. And one of my goals over the No Buy year has been sort of to move away from a product focused mentality and more into a technique focused mentality. So instead of constantly looking for better products, which I can't because I'm on my No Buy year, I want to be looking for better techniques, and I want to figure out a way to make the sort of crappier products in my arsenal, the products that perhaps aren't the easiest to use, aren't the most up-to-date, etc. I want to figure out how to make them work anyway. And I briefly touched on this in the video where I discussed the makeup that I was taking back. I'm about to get like weirdly philosophical here, and honestly it's not that deep, but one of the things I've learned through my No Buy year is that the way I behave in the more like shallow or facetious aspects of my life also end up reflecting the ways in which I behave around the more significant and important parts of my life. And I've been reading this book. I know, I've been reading because I actually have time since school ended to do a leisurely reading. But I've been reading this nonfiction book called Deep Work by this computer science professor at Georgetown called Cal Newport. Newport sort of discusses the kind of work that is necessary to do cognitive, intellectual tasks. The kind of things that sort of drive the knowledge economy of today. That includes his own work as a professor of computer science. It also includes the work that students do, the work that computer scientists do, journalists, writers, for example, do a lot of deep work. And that's the kind of work that requires absolutely no distraction and the ability to focus on things for a really, really long period of time. Because there are these really, really difficult and intellectually stimulating tasks. Like if you're trying to write a novel or an essay or something like that, or you're trying to understand a really complicated and dense academic work or come up with a new proof or something like that, those are really intense cognitive tasks, and they require your brain to enter into this state of deep work where you have just absolutely no distractions and you're able to use your full cognitive capacity to try and engage with this broader problem at hand. The writing, the reading, the figuring something out. Just for funsies, because this is currently a matte look, I'm gonna try and add some of this blush on top, which is more shimmery. So what Newport does is he describes what deep work is, he defines it, he goes into a lot of the neuroscience and psychology research around deep work, and then his main hypothesis is that deep work is becoming increasingly more valuable in our modern economy, at the same time that it is also becoming increasingly more rare, because we live in an age and a culture of distraction. And what Newport argues is a factor in our age of distraction is the fact that modern technology, social media, etc., has basically trained our brain to crave stimulation at all times. If we open up a tab and we start reading a particular article on a topic and we find that that article is a little bit boring or dull or whatever, the way technology is currently set up, the way the world is currently set up, it's super duper easy for us to just exit out of that tab, look for something more interesting, and then go read that. We also do this between apps. You open Twitter, you don't find anything interesting enough over there, so then you open up Instagram, you burn through whatever's interesting there, then you'll open up Facebook or Snapchat, or you'll go back to Twitter or another website or Tumblr, or then you'll try and browse a YouTube video. Y'all get the point, right? The wide variety of apps and options available to us mean that we never have to spend a minute being bored. If a thing does not suit our immediate taste, if it does not stimulate us to the level at which we want, we live in a culture where we are taught immediately to then shift over to something that is as stimulating as we want it to be. Oh dang, there's so much fallout here. We're gonna start working on the rest of my face now. Newport is basically arguing that because we are so used to now not letting our brains be bored or dissatisfied for even a second, it then makes it so that when we have to sit down and do a really, really difficult task that can occasionally be boring or challenging, we don't want to do it. It's increasingly difficult for us to maintain our focus and try and actually follow through and complete that task. And as I was reading Newport's book, I started thinking not just about how this shows up in my day-to-day life, but also in my makeup habits. Because at the heart of our behavior, according to Newport, is sort of this craving for stimulation that is born out of impatience. Much in the same way that when I open up a YouTube video and a minute and a half in, I'm not entertained, and so I switch out to another tab because I'm impatient and I want to be entertained right here, right now. I also expect all of my products to be magical and effortless and super duper easy to use. And the moment I try to use a particular makeup product and it gives me any difficulty in any way, shape, or form, I just start looking for something better, something that requires me to do less work, something that I don't need any patience or skill to really use. And here's the thing, I think makeup serves the purpose of making my life easier, and if something is deliberately making my life harder, like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time with it? I get that, but I've realized I don't just feel that way about makeup that's like egregious and bad. I tend to do that even with makeup that's just like mediocre. Instead of trying to figure out how to use it, my gut instinct is I should go out and buy something that isn't mediocre. And that, I think, is the real problem. It's not the pursuit of well-performing products that's the problem. I'm not saying that in the least. It's more the way that I react when something doesn't end up meeting the very, very high bar that I set for it. Like, I'm gonna use this very foundation that I'm putting on my face right now. It's this like Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. I used this over the winter and I hated it. And usually what I would have done, because I hate it, is I would have just used it like twice, thrown it away, or decluttered it or something to somebody else, and then bought another foundation that I thought would better suit my needs. And because I'm on my no-buy year, I can't do that. And so what I've been forced to do is basically figure out a way to make this thing work. If I use certain primers, if I use a sponge and not a brush, if I have a very robust and good skincare routine, etc., the foundation looks fine. Does it take extra work on my part? Yeah, it does. Is it the best foundation I own? Absolutely not. Would I ever buy it again? No, but I figured out a way to make it work. And in the process of figuring out how to make it work, I've gotten much better at doing my base. I've gotten much better at skin prep. I've gotten better at foundation application techniques. The knowledge that I gained from trying to make this mediocre foundation work for me is now knowledge that I have forever. A technique that I really, really love using in the springtime is to do like a very subtle ombre lip. So I'm gonna take this lipstick, which is sort of a neutrally pink, and I'm gonna put that all over my lip and my chin because I'm a clumsy fool. Like it never happened, lads. Like it never happened. And then what I like to do is I like to take a much more vibrant color, either a red, or in this case, I'm gonna use a very, very bright pink and just put it right in the very center of my lips, like so. And then just press together a little bit so that whatever's on the bottom lip makes it up to the top. Like that. And then evaluate, and I kind of want to be a little bolder with the look, so I'm going to add just a bit more pink to the center. And so then the center of my lip actually matches my eye really, really well, but it's not like my whole lip is this very, very bright pink color. That's kind of crazy. The neutral pink on the vast majority of the outer part tones it down. So now I'm gonna powder. You know, this constantly switching back and forth between talking about what I'm doing with my makeup and then talking about other things in my life, it's a great way to lose track of whatever on earth I'm saying. Basically, I'm trying to improve technique. I'm trying to get to the stage where you could give me the most garbage products in the world, and I personally would be skilled enough at applying makeup that I would somehow be able to create a good look with them. Because that to me is now something to be a lot more proud of than what is in my actual makeup collection. I think for a long time I had a lot of pride about the makeup that I owned, and that's such a like interesting mentality to have had, because I should be proud of how skilled I am at using makeup and not just of the fact that I own good makeup. Like that turns me into the kind of person who I don't want to be, because I don't think people should be judging each other based off of what they have, but more based off of what they are able to do. And that's like a life philosophy for me. So the fact that I was suddenly not being that way when it came to makeup, the fact that suddenly it was like, oh, I was super proud of owning X, Y, Z specific products and not proud of the fact that I was able to use them to be able to construct something beautiful, made me realize like I was out of sync with my own values and my priorities. I'm like bronzing / contouring my jawline because ever since I cut my hair super short, my face looks even more like a round M&M. Like I'm serving you emoji face right now. This is emoji realness. This is almost a perfect circle. You know, my original intent for this look, I was going to try and recreate kind of like the glass skin, dewy, ultra highlighted look on my cheeks instead of going super blushy. Now that I'm sort of looking at myself in the mirror, what I'm kind of in the mood for is Rihanna at the Met Gala, that one year where she showed up with the really intense blush draping. And I've never tried to do that really editorial draped blush look with such an intense pink color before. Do I go off course and try it? F it, let's do it. Let's be bold, let's be adventurous. Don't try this at home, kids. What am I saying? It's makeup. Absolutely try this at home. It washes off at the end of the day. How do I want to do this? How did Rihanna do this? Start applying blush just like on my temples, maybe as like a C shape, I think would probably be the best thing to do. Y'all are really about to see me either sink or swim doing buffing circular motions. I usually apply highlight like this, so I'm just gonna load up my brush with it and then tap off any excess and then just go in a circle, including my actual eyelid, so that it kind of harmoniously blends everything together. This might work. Famous last words. Do I just look like I've been punched in the face? I probably just look like I've been punched in the face. Oh no. Or like I had a really bad chemical peel. Am I crazy or is this actually working, y'all? Watch, I'm gonna be watching this back when I'm editing and I'm gonna be like, Prachi, you look like a clown. Like, what are you saying? The way that I'm just like playing with fire. The fact that anybody trusts me to be able to do my makeup is actually just like laughable, because I just recreate the same like boring neutral eye, bright lip look every single day of my life. Do I blend it into my hairline? Did Rihanna do that? You know what? If this ends up looking horrible, I'm just gonna say that Rihanna made me do it. And then I think people will understand, because that's her power. So I don't know if y'all can see what I'm talking about, but there's like one spot right here under my brow that is for some reason really intensely pigmented. I'm just gonna, oh no, what did I do? I feel like it must be the primer, right? Okay, let's try it with a little bit of lotion. Am I about to just colossally mess things up? Possibly. Probably. If I just rub a little bit of lotion there. And then take my paper towel and clean. Oh no. Your girl can rescue this. Maybe. Can you rescue a thing that was never good to begin with? Okay, so then maybe if I powder down with my normal powder and then try putting blush on, it won't be a patchy mess. You know, I'm using this like Charlotte Tilbury powder right now, and I feel like if Miss Charlotte Tilbury could actually see this, she would be so disappointed in my complete like inability to execute my vision to try and make up for lost time. Those are never good words to use when you're trying to apply makeup. I packed a little bit of blush onto my blending brush, and I'm just gonna dust it on this like white patch. Oh my god. Lads, I think it worked. Oh my god. Okay. I'm just adding a little bit on, and I'm gonna try and sort of seamlessly, even though it seems like I'm creating a wild and harsh line, we're about to use my bigger blush brush to buff it all out. Don't worry. I think maybe going a little bit Japanese, so igari style, so bringing my blush just a little closer under my eye. I put a little bit on my brush and I'm just squeezing it like this and pulling this up a little closer to my actual eye. Oh my god. Lads, I might have done something. I do not know how this is translating on camera, but IRL in this tiny mirror, not bad. Let's see if we can recreate it on the other side. But we're learning from my past mistake. We're gonna powder this side down first to make sure there's no way anything's gonna stick around and be patchy. I need a bigger mirror, hold on. Okay. There, this is much better because now I have a sense of if they're matching on either side, because on the smaller one I could only see one eye at a time, and that is not a great way to be doing makeup. I'm taking a lot of time to blend because although you may think I enjoy looking like a clown based off of the sheer amount of blush I have going on my cheeks, I would actually like this to be relatively seamless and look intentional and not messy. So blending is key. I'm adding a little bit more blush bronzer to the lower half of my face right here to sort of balance out this color. Moving on to brows now. Another thing that I'm planning on doing, I already started doing it and I'm going to continue doing it throughout the month of May. I'm going to do the Konmari method for all of my belongings. So I've read her book before, but I reread it this time with full intention of doing it. Like I feel like it is the moment for me to do it. I feel like I'm ready to do it now in a way that I wasn't before. I'm taking this glitter now and I'm gonna use my fingers to try and pack it on my eyelid. Anyway, since I've like grown a lot as a person and just learned a lot and changed my mindset on so many different things, I think it's time. Like I feel ready to do it. I've already done the vast majority of my clothes. Like I got started on it and I didn't really film that process, but clothes weren't that interesting anyway because I'd already done the KonMari process on my clothes before. I think I kind of want to film the process for books and definitely for makeup and skincare and hair care. Or at least that was my idea, that I would maybe do one where I talked about the lessons that I learned when I did the KonMari for my clothes. Because when I did the KonMari for clothes, that was actually really transformative in that prior to that, I didn't think I had clothing preferences or even a vague sense of style. And the KonMari process really taught me a lot about what it is I like and dislike when it comes to clothing. But I don't know if people are interested in seeing that or not because it's my only shader brush. I'm just going to try and wipe off the glitter on a paper towel because I realized I never did the underside of my eye. And then I'm gonna take the blush. But yeah, so let me know if you're interested in me filming those videos, if you're interested in me filming the actual process, like what I'm thinking as I'm going through stuff, or if you'd prefer not to see that and would just prefer like a reflection after I'm done, or if you don't want me to talk about the KonMari process at all as separate videos and just sort of discuss it in the check-in for May, because I would really like to know. The month of May is going to be a really hectic one for me. The first week of May, from the 29th to the 6th, as I said way at the start of the video, what felt like 40 hours ago, I'm going to my aunt and uncle's house in Minnesota. I'm coming back on May 5th, or the morning of the 6th, and then I have class So classes start then. I'm taking 2 classes. One is advanced level of Spanish, and the other is, there are these 2 history classes for my international relations major. May as a whole, my weekends are like really wild. So the first weekend I'm already in Minnesota. The weekend of the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, so that's Victoria Day weekend in Canada, I'm going with my friend Catherine to New York City. I've never been to New York City and neither has she, and the group BTS is actually having a stadium concert there that weekend, and so we lucked out, we got tickets for it. I have a bunch of friends in New York, so I'm also going to be meeting them, and this is one of those things that like would not have been possible had I not been on a no-buy, because I would have squandered all of my money on makeup and skincare instead of on this like once in a lifetime experience, because my favorite painting of all time, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, is in the MoMA and I've never seen it. And because of the no-buy, I've been able to save enough money to be able to go on this trip, where not only am I going to be able to go to a BTS concert in a stadium, but I'm also going to be able to see beautiful artwork that I've wanted to by my favorite artist of all time. I'm gonna use some Fix Plus on my brush now to really pack on some glitter onto the inner corner. The weekend after that, the last weekend in May, I'm going to spend some time with my sister and my cousin and their significant others and the rest of my family, and go to Niagara Falls and all of that kind of stuff. Then June is a relatively non-hectic month in that I'm not traveling anywhere, but that's actually good because come July, my mom is getting married. So 4th of July weekend will be my mother's wedding. My mom gave me the insanely difficult task of doing all of her makeup for all of her functions, which I don't know if y'all have ever been to a brown wedding, but brown weddings have a lot of different functions. And even though my mom has like a relatively toned down wedding, like we're not doing every single function under the sun, there are a bunch of different functions and a bunch of different looks. And I've been sitting down and trying to talk to my mom about like what kind of makeup she wants to do and letting her know that we're gonna have to practice because I'm not a makeup artist, right? It's just that in our family, extended family, in fact, I am the person who knows the most about makeup. And so my mom is relying on me to help her look confident and good for her big day. And so that's really nerve-wracking because do I know what I'm doing? No. Y'all just saw me make an absolute fool of myself in this Get Ready With Me. The weekend after that, on July 15th, I have registered for the LSAT. The LSAT is offered a very limited number of times a year. It was either write it in July or write it in September. And I just don't want to drag it out all the way to September. For those of you who don't know, the LSAT is basically the test that you need to take in order to get into law school. It is not a knowledge-based test. Now I'm just putting on a thin layer of eyeliner. So basically the LSAT is assessing all of your skills, your ability to read really carefully, your ability to figure out the flaws in an argument, your ability to deduce correct facts from a given state of logical statements. These are all skills. The only way to get better at them is through careful, deliberative practice. There's no amount of memorization or flashcards that can help you become good at the LSAT. And it's super crucial for me to do incredibly well. Like, I want to score a 175 or higher, which is not just the 99th percentile, that's usually like the 99.5 or 99.7th percentile. Like, it's an obscenely high score. And I absolutely need to get that score because my mental health issues, hold up a second, mean that I really messed up academically. Before I was diagnosed with ADHD, before I got into therapy, before I worked really hard to turn my life around, like I was doing incredibly poorly in school. And law schools receive from the LSAC a combined GPA that includes every single university course you've ever taken. So it doesn't matter that in my more recent years, I've been doing relatively well in school. All of those years where I failed will also be put into my GPA, which means I'm not going to have a very competitive GPA. And what that means is I need to do extremely well on the LSAT because the two numerical metrics that are used in every single law school application are the GPA and the LSAT. And if one of them, like my GPA, is not competitive, the other one, it needs to be so good that it forces the person reading my application to do a double take and actually open up my transcript, read my essay carefully, figure out what on earth is going on. So the LSAT is a big thing that's going to be happening for me this July, along with my 2 courses, along with my mom getting married, and of course all of the like fun things that I'm doing in May where I'm hanging out with my family and going to New York City. So that's everything from me, folks. I feel like that was an incredibly long get ready with me, and part of that is because I did this like really weird and experimental thing that I have never tried before, which is this super editorial draped blush look. I would encourage those of you who are just chilling at home to maybe step out of your comfort zone like I did and go a little crazy. Try a thing you've maybe dreamed of trying and then just never thought you were able to pull off. Because if I can somehow create this, which hopefully doesn't look like a complete and total hot mess, you can definitely try out whatever interesting and cool look you wanted to try out. Because it's just makeup. If it sucks, you can just wash it off and pretend like it never happened. As always, I hope you have a great upcoming week. And even if your upcoming week ends up becoming messy and imperfect, I hope that you're still able to create and experience some truly beautiful moments. Bye!